Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Don't Know, the best podcast out here.
The best.
We've been away for a little bit. I mean, it feels like
we're on our new routine.
We're on our new routine, so it feels.
I hope you guys are acclimated now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, but hopefully
I feel like
you guys
I haven't
are.
been here in a while.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while, but we're back. Hello. With your hosts, myself, Jackie.
And Sana.
So, let's really talk about the biggest thing that was supposed to happen this past weekend that didn't.
My Cali people know what we're about to say.
The hurricane.
Good old Hurricane Hillary. You know what? I was
Hillary.
living for the memes. The memes were... The internet always wins.
The internet always wins in situations like this.
It's...
My favorite meme...
They're too quick.
They are. My favorite meme was the one with Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal. And it was like the rest of the country, like, you know, and it's Nicolas Cage. It has like this like scared look on his face. And then it's like Californians and we're just like smiling like idiots.
Well, let's recap. For the people... I think even people that were not from the state knew this was going on because I had my cousin text me from Kansas. He's like, heard LA's beautiful this time of the year. You know? So like, you would know. So anyways, we were supposed to get a hurricane hit California, but people are dumb. They don't realize that it was never going to be a hurricane because by the time it touched us, it was going to be just this tropical storm.
Yes.
But people hear hurricane and go crazy.
By the way, storm, like
that was normal
quotes.
rain.
I mean, that really was.
When I tell you people, and even then, even with them saying a tropical storm, it may be bad. It was a thing of like a day and a quarter.
Yeah.
It wasn't even anything major. When I tell you people ran to Costco, people ran to the grocery store, stocking up like there's about to be an apocalypse. Like I didn't do anything. Somebody asked me, they're like, so you prepared? I was like, for what?
Yeah. For rain?
Yeah.
Sure. I guess.
The most dramatic thing that happened was that there was an earthquake.
Yeah.
Which
along with it, we'll just leave it to California to be like,
you know, you're right. This is not intense enough. Let me just
like, you know,
shake it up a bit.
I think add a little spice.
Yeah.
Like
and it was like a little baby one.
Yeah.
I mean, near us, it was a little baby one.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even feel
anyways, when I tell you, it was just normal rain.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
I taught
so dramatic.
I taught Legree on Sunday, and me and the owner were texting. She's like, what do you think about class? Should we keep it or not? And we're both like, no, we should keep it. It's not going to be a big deal.
It's not going to be a big deal.
And we kept it, and it was fine.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like we had more intense rain earlier this year.
Oh my God. I literally said that to my mom. I was like, at one point this year, my backyard was all white because it was hailing. It looked like it snowed.
Yeah, we had way more intense weather earlier in the year than we did with Hurricane Hillary.
Nothing. I love the Hillary Duff memes. I also love the one where it was like, it's like 4 of those plastic white chairs and it was like, we will rebuild and one chair's knocked off. I love that one.
My favorite was the meme with, it was a Lizzie McGuire, so it was 2 Hillarys, and it was like the earthquake and the hurricane. They're like holding hands like up and like.
That was the best part
So
of this media blow up is the memes, but leave it to the media to make it bigger, make it seem bigger than it was. And
of course,
a lot of folks that listen to what they want to listen to freak out.
This is yet
I don't want to
another...
be mean, but it's the uneducated.
Well, it's another lesson in critical thinking skills and making sure that you are not just solely listening to what everyone is saying, but taking that information and maybe just using our brains.
I like to joke around about like the hurricane was coming, but it was never going to be a hurricane when it hit us. Yeah. And people keep saying it was never going to be a hurricane.
Well, because on TikTok too, there was like one gal and she was like, as like a former Californian living in Florida, like this is how you prepare for a hurricane. She's like, you're going to want to have drinking water. It's like, it's a day.
It's not even a hurricane. It's a tropical storm.
Like, stop saying that. Like, I don't think that means what you think it means. Like,
the hurricane was before it hit us.
Yeah. They said that Baja got it the worst. They got it real bad.
You know, my Palm Springers got a little flooded.
Yeah,
you know, I'll let them have it. But it wasn't, I mean, the media made it seem like, hey, we really are going to have to rebuild.
I feel like El Nino was stronger.
It was so underwhelming. Like, everybody stayed home and they're probably like, for what?
Yeah, I mean, well, people can't. I saw on TikTok certain businesses were like, we're going to be closed for the weather. At my church, we're like, we're not having like church service. Like,
no, I was like, Legree, we will be open. I will be kicking your ass. You will be coming in.
If you're going to die for anything, die for a good body.
Die for a good body. So, and almost everybody showed up.
She died in pursuit of a great-looking ass.
Best way.
Best way.
But, yeah, that was very underwhelming. And
very
I called it. We called it. You and I spoke about it. We're like, it's not going to be anything.
We're like,
every time the media blows up something, it's nothing.
It's never
And I'm pretty sure the crazy rain that happened wasn't even reported on the news. And then the rain was insane.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Or not a few years ago, I'm saying earlier this year.
Earlier this year. Yeah. No, it was just so funny. Like this, like again, the rest of the country. And then I saw another account post like, this is how Californians prepare like the night before like a tropical storm. And like everyone's on the beach, like walking.
Oh,
it was like a beautiful sunset.
The best one on TikTok, which I like, is it's a news reporter and he's like, Californians are like basically going crazy preparing for this hurricane, and everybody keeps stitching it, and they're like on their couch or they're like on their lawn chair, like sitting outside, or like the stitches are so funny.
It's really funny. Or
we're like preparing. We are like, I mean, people were like taking like not paddle boards, but what's the smaller one?
Like a bodyboard,
and like in the little puddles and like in Palm Springs. And like just like no, we're California. We don't take that.
No, we don't. Whatever.
Except the few people that ran to the grocery store. I'm embarrassed for y'all, but it's fine. They probably stocked up on toilet paper. Like
it was
all
like another
things.
2020. Yeah, like a run on toilet paper and just like like quick. You never know. You know, like type of thing.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Oh, California.
So we survived. You're all wondering. We're fine.
We are fine.
Yeah,
we're here recording.
Yeah. Thanks for the concern.
Yeah, we appreciate the thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
But we're fine.
The podcast still continues.
Yes. So other than that, the very underwhelming, anticlimactic.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Very chill. Friday, I was exhausted. I did a day trip on Thursday to Vegas for business. Of course, we got a little pleasure. You know, you gotta. And then it was literally a 24-hour trip. Not even less than 20. Sorry, it was like a 12-hour trip or something. Yeah, turnaround. And then I taught the next morning early, and I was just so dead from the week. I barely got sleep. So I was like, I'm not doing anything. I relaxed. Saturday, I met up with my cousin and Aruj, friend of the pod, and we just hung out at the SLS in Beverly Hills.
Nice.
It was nice. And Sunday was, Sunday. Everybody said stay home. I did teach Legree, and I was a bum after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was raining, so it's like
it was very much nap weather.
Yes.
I did take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice. How about you?
Well, Friday, I went to Disneyland.
Oh, you did?
I did. It's really funny because I went with my best friend, Risa. But we went without the kids. Without
poor kids, and her kids are young as heck. You're like, you're not going to Disneyland, but I'm going.
Yeah. But we were talking about it, and the last time that we were like together at a amusement park was close to 20 years ago, when by ourselves, like together, when for senior week, I think we were at Six Flags. But anyway, so it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Highly recommend going after everything, the end of August. Highly recommend because everyone's back in school for Southern California, at least, and obviously like other surrounding areas. But so it was empty. But damn, it was a long day. It was a great day.
Disney's always a long day.
Oh, it's always a long day, but it was a great day. But we were there at rope drop. So any Disney fans would know that that's like when like it actually opens. So we were there before the parking structure opened. We were there at 6:50 in the morning.
That's commitment I don't have for Disney.
You know what? We needed a good day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
It was a fantastic day. It was a magical day. Some would say.
Yeah.
No, but it was amazing. And it was empty, which was nice. So we got on all the major rides.
Yeah.
We got on them multiple times. And we did have Genie Plus, which allows you to kind of skip the line, do a little lightning lane situation. But no, it was great. It was such a great time. All the food, everything that we wanted to do. It was just, we had all these different little experiences. The highlight for me was I finally was able to eat at the Blue Bayou restaurant, which I've never done in my life.
And if people that don't know, it's the one you see when you're on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, it is the restaurant that you see at Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. So I got a same-day reservation.
Was the food good?
It was good. And it was just, it was so nice to like sit down during the middle of the day, get out of the heat, like give your feet.
It feels like you're somewhere else.
Yes, it does. You've been transferred to the bayou.
Yeah.
No, it was great. And yeah, the food was good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so worth it. So absolutely worth it. So that was a huge like bucket. I've never done that in all my years of going to Disneyland. I've never done that. So it was amazing. And we also were able to experience Star Wars Land and did Oga's Cantina, which I know usually has a long wait, and we were able to get right in. Like, it was just great. It was just
I love that for you.
Such an amazing time.
I'm glad you had a great time.
Yeah, but damn, was I done.
Oh, you always are. A day at Disney wipes you out.
And we like left at like 11:30 basically.
It's a long day.
It was a long ass day. So I was completely destroyed come Saturday. And what else happened during the weekend? Oh, it was my sister's birthday.
Nice.
31. So we had a little brunch action for her. My niece is in town, so I'm kind of pretending to be a mom right now because she's with me. And then I also had dinner with a friend. We had good Mexican food, which is always like good. Margarita, Mexican food, like hell yeah. But it was actually a topic at dinner that we discussed that has inspired today's podcast. Because I was telling Sana about it, and basically, it's hard to describe today's topic. I feel like the best word to use would be kind of that, like, kind of truly moving on, not moving on. Let me rephrase this. Truly accepting that unrequited love.
Yeah.
And then learning how to move forward. But like in true like healing steps. Not just accepting it because time is marching on.
Yeah.
That I don't think that's
I think, like, as TikTok puts it, living in the delusion.
Yes. Yeah. It really is though. Because a little backstory. This particular friend, unfortunately, has been kind of dealing with this for a couple years now. And what happened is she was dating a guy, and they got into what I still think is a very, very, very simple argument. He had said one thing, and she just simply answered with like a very like standard, I don't want to give too much away because I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but she just answered with a very simple, common like phrase that we use, like like, oh, do you mind if I do this? Or, oh, hey, can I ask for a favor? Like something along the lines of that type of thing. And it just blew up into like this whole huge mess, which basically ended their relationship. And not just ended it of where they had a huge fight and said, I'm done. He literally ghosted her. Yeah. They had an argument. They were like texting or whatever. And then she never heard from him again. And it's not like they had just been kind of seeing each other. Like they were legitimately dating. And it would not be wrong if, she said, this is my boyfriend. And I mean, that's where they were at. And he fucking ghosted her. Just done. That's it. Has not heard from him.
I mean, the way I hear that is thank God he's gone, because that just...
Same, though.
Someone who... There's ghosting's one thing, but ghosting someone when you're actually dating them is a whole new level of asshole.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked.
Isn't that just so, like... that? Yeah, that's a different level.
I don't know anyone who's done that.
I don't know other than this situation, I don't know anyone who has experienced that.
No, me either.
That is, like, the most wild thing to me. That, like...
Did she ever try reaching out?
Oh, yeah.
And he just never responded?
Never responded.
Ew.
But of course, follows her on Facebook, watches all her stuff. The minute she posts one thing, like, he's right back. Like, the minute she posts, we think that he has, like, notifications or something, because the minute he can be off, and then the minute she posts something, his light is on.
That's
like,
so weird.
It's crazy.
Why are you so intrigued in my life?
Right?
Like, you know what, though? Guys are weird. Let me tell you why, because I've told you this story. There's a guy that I was seeing a few years ago before my ex, and we ended or whatever, and then I don't know, like a year later, he unfollowed me, and not only did he unfollow me, he made it so that I was removed from his following. So like you could do that on Instagram, so he removed me from following him too.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, he almost always, like, there's so many times he watches my stories, and I'm like, then we weren't even talking. What are you upset about?
Yeah. Like, but
I don't understand. Why are you still keeping up?
Yes.
You unfollowed me. Why are you still? I don't get guys that. Why are you still keeping up then?
Yeah. Yeah. Which that's like the most like bizarre thing to me.
It's so bizarre to me because I don't keep up with anybody like that. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, and I'll be honest, I have, but that was also because I still had interest and but I had already.
It's different when you have interest, but if it's been time and then it's very different keeping up when you're the one who was like, well, I'm removing you off all this. Not that anything bad happened.
Yes.
And he ended it with me. So that it's like, it's not even like I ended it. He ended it with me. Why are you still keeping up? I'm not keeping up on you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're the one who was basically telling me I don't want to know anything. I don't want to be connected to you. You're the one. You're the one who was like, no thanks. But yet you still are like, well, peek. Like, let me.
It's so weird. It's the same with this guy too. Like he ghosted her, but then he's like, but I need to know what she's doing.
Yes. And that's what's just so wild to me. It's like, then what the hell do you care?
Yeah. Why do you care?
Why do you care? And then why would you be, and this just shows, this is my whole point of why I believe that it's 100%, we'll get into this, but why I consistently tell her it was not if, but when this relationship ended.
This is a very not if, but when, because that tells you everything.
That tells you everything because this really what clearly tells me is this dude is emotionally unavailable. He's incredibly emotionally immature. There's just, because you're willing to sit there and watch and really truly pay attention to what's going on social media wise. And she does post as far as like, oh, I'm here or I'm at there, type of thing. So he definitely kind of gets to see a little bit. It's not just like Instagram where she's just like, and she posts memes, but it's not just, it's a little bit more in depth, right? Yeah.
Her life.
And so then, but it's just like, but yet you won't talk to me. But you can't even, you won't respond to a text message. You won't even
talk about what happened.
Yeah, you won't even talk about what happened. You don't even have the capacity. And I think that's the key. It's like he doesn't have the capacity. That tells you everything.
Well, the fact that you were in a somewhat relationship and he didn't feel the need to even address it is mind-blowing to me. But that just shows you he did you a damn favor.
Yes. And I think, and I understand, it's very hard to see that.
It is very hard to see that. But okay, let's circle back a bit. How long ago was this? Because I think this is key to this conversation.
Yes. So the falling out happened like 2 years ago, if not a little bit longer. And so this is what kind of getting into like the meat of the story. This is what inspired the topic because she sat there and we were kind of talking and then she goes, so tell me, how do I get him to talk to me? And I was like, you don't. Like simply, you don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to hear that it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
He ghosted her 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And so that's why the
problem is, as women, because I don't think men do this, as women, we are very good for making excuses.
Oh,
we are so good at living in the delusion. Like, it's anything but he's not that into me. It's everything of like, oh, he must be really busy. Oh, like maybe he's waiting for me. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, I'm the one he keeps reaching out. He probably was waiting for me to reach out now. We think of a million reasons of why it can't just be that they're not into us.
Yes.
When that is always the answer.
Well, and I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with her and which I'm always open to having it because I want to talk through this.
You want to help her?
I want to help her. I want her, mostly what I always want to have happen is I want her to understand that she doesn't deserve this. And the real, kind of the idea that should be illuminated to her is I don't want to be with somebody who thinks it's okay to treat me this way.
Yep.
I don't want to be with someone who cannot have a simple conversation, who can't talk through their feelings or their emotions, or simply just say like, I'm over this. I don't want to be with you.
Yep.
He couldn't even say it. He just ran away like just like a little kid, And but I can't tell you how many times there's been, well, I think he's, he's hurt from past relationships.
The excuses.
The excuses start coming through. So what you said is absolutely true. He's been hurt from other relationships. I shouldn't have said
what I said.
Yep. I
know this too well.
I shouldn't have said what I said.
Yeah.
I understand how, how I said hurt him, that was a trigger for him. So, I can understand that he had to run away for 2.5 years. He had to run away. What else is there? What else? I think he's just stubborn. He really does still care and he's still really into me, but he's just stubborn. I think he's scared. I think he's scared and he doesn't know what to say.
I'm laughing because this is not just her.
It's everyone. It's every woman.
I was this woman. No, it's not me now. I was that woman.
Yes, it's not me now.
I was that woman in the past, my 20s, all of that.
Yes.
Where it's like, it's so simple, ladies. Listen up. It's so simple. There's no rhyme or reason. It's very simple. He's just not that into you.
He's just not that into you. And I believe that usually if it's not just that into you, sometimes, not all the time. So not all the time. Sometimes there is other issues involved. And that's why I tell her specifically in this situation, I've told her, he doesn't care enough about you. So sometimes I like using that term a little bit more than just like, he's just not that into you. Like, especially when there's been a relationship.
A little bit of a softer blow.
A little bit of a softer blow. Like, I'm not going to like,
but
it's
worded.
It's an open hand slap instead of a closed fist. But it's just, I've told her and we were talking and I was just like, but he is more important than you. His emotional well-being, his feelings, his thoughts, everything is more important than you. And that does boil down to he does not care about you enough. So, because sometimes I feel like, because of course we all know that book and we know the movie and all that stuff. And I do feel like sometimes it's a little of an oversimplification. It's very simple, but sometimes I feel it does get a little bit more like, okay, well, let's kind of deep dive into this. But
well, we saw a TikTok and I shared it with you and we kind of, it's about being busy.
Yes.
And it was a man and a woman. And what did she say? She said that, he didn't text me all day or
like
she said he didn't reach out to me all day. And the guy didn't want to hear the rest of it. And he's like, he's not that into you. Yeah. He's not into you. Yeah. And then she's like, but why? Like, he could be busy and all that. And he's like, it's simple. He's not that into you because, and I believe this way too. And I know you're like, I do and I don't, but nobody is that busy. Nobody is so busy that they can't take a second to text you, a 5-minute phone call.
Yeah.
Nobody is that busy. If you're on someone's mind and if they want to talk to you, they will. So that whole like, oh, I was busy or all that. No, you're just not that interested.
Yes. I think that's it that I do agree with that. There is a part of me that sometimes wants more of an explanation. Sometimes there isn't any more of it. In my friend's case, I do think that there is a little bit more attached to it. But yes, I think the baseline for a lot of it is it's just not there on his side.
Yeah.
And it's the worst because it really is that I feel like that is the worst type of love is unrequited.
Because you crave it more.
Yes.
You make you're like, well, if I say this, that's another big issue that women do. It's like, well, I need to make him realize I'm going to send him this message. Maybe he'll realize with this message. And then we start looking like Desperado.
Yeah.
And we can't take a hint. And then
it's just like so.
It's just you have to it's so hard, but you have to wind it back and see it for what it is.
That's kind of, where I was talking with her and I was just saying I said, well, why do you want to talk to him? Why?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point? So what do you hope to gain from this? And she was saying well, I kind of just want, basically, I think without saying the full term, I'm saying it sounded like she just wanted closure. Which I know you and I differ on this.
But I could understand what the circumstances of why she would want it.
Yes.
I differ a little bit. And I don't know what I'd be like in that situation, but I'm just like, well, you've done enough for me. I've seen enough.
Yes. And
what can you say to change those, what you did in 2 years?
Exactly. The silence speaks volumes.
The silence speaks volumes.
Yeah. And so I understand what she's saying because I'm a huge closure person.
I feel like I used to be like that.
Yeah. Oh, I have started learning to be better with it due to going to therapy, but yes, I'm a huge closer. So
it's hard.
It's hard. And so I understand, especially when you're an empath or when in specific situations, especially like hers, there's been kind of a rough background, and so she thought that she finally met someone.
Also so sudden and all of that.
Yes.
Without answers, we never had a conversation. So I could understand why she would want it. I completely do, and I can't speak for certain if I would or would not, but I would not want it after 2 years. Well, the fact that she's still harping on it is an issue.
Right.
If he hasn't done it by now, which not even by now, but a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, even
he's
like
not going
a month
to.
after the situation happened.
I even gave him a grace period of 6 months.
Right, yeah. We were being kind here.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is just like, and that's why I said like, why do you want to talk? And she said, well, I just want to like, I want to say like,
I'm sorry.
I just, yeah. I just want to like, kind of like say my piece. And I was like, look, I get that. But the thing is just like, you're not going to get the closure from him.
Well, closure's for you.
Well, closure's for you, but this is like a concept that I'm learning in therapy is there's this I think I'm saying it right. Nobody quote me, as I normally say. But it's kind of it's called like therapeutic I think therapeutic forgiveness. I might have that term wrong. But basically it's the concept of you forgive without the other person being involved. And my therapist has said, this is obviously something that's used specifically like in abusive situations, sexual abuse, rape, things of, when like it is not okay and it would not be healthy for you to be in front of your abuser or somebody who hurt you in that capacity. Or maybe they're dead, and you're not going to be able to get that. But this also does apply for people who don't understand how they hurt you, who refuse to accept responsibility for the hurt that they cause and the pain, or somebody like this situation who will not talk to you. You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to get the closure from them.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out how to do it on your own.
100%.
And that's where that therapeutic forgiveness comes in. And I feel like it kind of connects to the closure. And so I feel like if you are find yourself in this type of situation, or if you have friends who really struggle, start looking into the concept, or if you yourself really struggle, because that's what resonated with me. I was like, tell me more. Like, you say I don't need them present. Interesting. Yeah. I like that. That speaks to me. And because it'll allow you to be able to have that closure without having to incorporate the other person, or bring them in.
Yeah.
Or also just have it, because I even told her, I was like, it's hinging on him. Like, that's what I don't like, is that it still hinges on him and whether he's going to respond or not.
Yeah.
And
that dictates you moving on.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, I really kind of hate that, because that led me to my next question with her. I was just like, why do you want to still talk to someone or have a connection with someone that could do that to you?
Because I will be honest, and I think a lot of people say they want closures. They don't necessarily want closure. They want a last string of hope. I don't think it's always.
That's a good one.
I think that there are people that want closure, but a lot of people think things can get better. Maybe we can try one more time. Maybe I can convince him. Yeah. Maybe this conversation will go a different way, because I feel like that happens 100%.
That is a good one.
She's so smart.
She's so smart. No, because I know that I have found myself in the past, because we were even talking about like some past cringy texts that we were looking at, and we were so desperate. Just
so desperate. I look at how, a guy's not giving me what I deserve, and I'm like chasing them.
Yeah.
And I think what is attractive for men is a woman that respects herself.
Absolutely.
It's very much like that thing we saw, the doormat. A man does not want a doormat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he will mess around and all of that, but
right.
You not having that respect for yourself, you not having that boundary for yourself, is also not a good look on that end.
Oh, for sure.
Because I can walk all over her and everything, and she doesn't care.
And she doesn't care, and it's like, okay, well, then why do I want to be?
It's unattractive.
Like
yeah,
But to get back to that concept, that is, I think it's very true, because I look back on the cringy texts that I've sent in the past.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. Like, now going through therapy, like, and recognizing a lot of why I did what I did, and it's actually kind of helpful to be able to look back at past actions and see it,
how you've
and
grown.
Be like, oh my God, like, no wonder. And I was looking at these texts to these guys that, like, I couldn't even tell you who this was. Like, I didn't even save their number. But the texts were so like, hey, haven't heard from you. Like, if you still wanted to see each other or talk. And it was just like, oh my God. And this was like the third text, like through the week, But it's true. And I would say at times, obviously, this, talk about everything. I would say closure. But I really do think that at times it was, but other times it was the string of hope.
It's the string of hope.
It was.
People a lot of times say it's closure, but it's a string of hope. I know that. People do that. I guarantee with your friend, same thing.
Yeah, and that's because she was saying that I just like want another, like she goes, I just want to be able to like say my piece. And I said, but you already have though. Oh. Like there's there's nothing that's left unsaid.
Especially after this much time.
Yeah.
I would feel so disrespected.
Right.
That I wouldn't even want your closure.
And I think that's something I told her. I said, I'm more concerned. I said, I'm not concerned about him. I have my theories about him. Again, not only is he just not that into you, again, and it's not even just that, he doesn't care about you enough. He is more important than you. So that tells me that he's incredibly selfish. And again, just you'll sit there and ghost me, but you'll still watch my social media. So that tells me the immaturity and just the emotional immaturity and blah, 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 blah. But my thing was just like, but why do you even want to say anything? Everything's been said. You've sent text messages. You've told him stuff. You wrote this long ass,
There's nothing left to be said.
Dickens novel.
Yeah, there's nothing to be said.
And so I think that's part of it. The misstep is, the one more time.
The one more time.
The one more text. The one more call. The one more time
I can change his mind. He will realize.
It's going to change.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because we came across this post it was so interesting to me. And I was like, I feel like this is so true. And it's a quote from Carl Sagan. And it says, one of the saddest lessons of history is this. If we've been bamboozled long enough, so pretty much in dating and especially in this situation, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never get it back.
I couldn't have said that better myself. I mean, not that I would ever be able to eloquently.
Eloquently.
I can't even speak. Look at that. Eloquently say it that way, but that took the words out of my mouth.
Just the concept, and this is what was interesting, is the concept of being bamboozled. And you just can't accept that you were.
It's I can't accept that he's not that into me. That there has to be another reason of why he's not reaching out. Yeah. There has to be he's busy. There's always has to be another reason. It simply can't just be he's not that into me.
And that's what I feel like this kind of is it goes along with that premise. But even just like, you know what? I was bamboozled.
Yeah.
I've been had. Yeah. And in because I will say, especially like I've experienced this with the pilot of where I do feel that there were some mixed messages. Mm-hmm. I have grown, we've moved past, we talked about that. But I will say, and I will die on this hill, that I do believe that there were mixed messages from him. But that's the hard part.
Well, it's not, because as I've mentioned in the past on this pod, if you don't know where you stand. That's very telling.
Exactly.
The right man will make it clear where you stand.
Yes.
If you're confused, so mixed signals, he's not that into you.
Correct.
I have a short answer for all you ladies. No signals, mixed signals, not that into you. You will know if he's into you. A guy will make it very known that he's into you. And I don't want to hear, well, he's like a shy boy and all of that. Like, people go after what they want.
They do. Men do go after what they want. But also... But this is where,
she's like, wait.
But this is where I get into it is, but sometimes he's not into you in the way you want. That's also, I think, is like a premise.
Well, like as a friendship?
So no, it's just, he's not into you romantically. So what's happened like with the pilot and I, he's not into me romantically. He's into me as far as a friend goes, and he loves and cares about me as a friend. but he is not into me the way that
I'll
want
argue
it.
that even though it's not the way you want it, there's no in hell that a guy doesn't know that the girl is into him, and it's fucked up to do the mixed signals.
Exactly. No, that's 100%.
Either way, it's not, even if you're like, well, he's into me as a friend, that's not a good friend. Because
well, we'll have to. That's
not because he knows how you feel.
Yes,
and for him to play around with you.
Well, okay. So then, but this is where we get into. This is why I do think that there are things attached to this sometimes. For him, incredibly emotionally unavailable, immature, selfish.
I get it.
There's narcissistic tendencies, which then by default, I don't want that. He is not the right partner for me. We are not a good fit together romantically. That would not be, I know for me, oh God, that would be me giving up everything. I would be so, it would be so sad to watch, honestly. Yeah. I mean, it was already sad to watch.
I mean, it was devastating for me. The way you speak about your friend is how I'm speaking about you. Just not on the internet.
She's delusional.
Yeah, I was like, delusional.
No, but that's exactly it. So, no, I do believe that we do have a friendship, but again, would you make a good romantic partner? No, you wouldn't. And yes, the argument could be made, okay, well, what about a friend and makes a good friend and blah, blah, blah. I think that's a different episode because we can go on forever about that.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it in depth. But as far as a romantic partner, like, no, like he's not a good romantic partner for me. He would not be. But so yes, about the whole kind of mixed signal thing. Oh, damn. What did bamboozled. That's what I was like, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. No, but that's what is. I've been had. And I've allowed myself to be had.
Yeah.
But that's what, I find so great about that is just like the bamboozle has captured us. And it's just too painful to acknowledge.
Yeah.
And I feel like in my case and in my friend's case, like it's really painful to just
it's a shitty feeling.
It is. It's such a shitty.
But you're going to. It's so much more beneficial to face that shitty feeling than live in the delusion.
Oh, true. But that's what he was saying that
it's so hard to do.
It's so hard to do. Yeah. And I love that line and say like, you do reject
evidence. It's that it can't be that reason. It has to be.
Yes.
How many girls say I get it. He's busy with work. He's busy with all these things.
Mm-hmm. Again, rejecting the evidence.
Yeah.
Because it is so hard. And that's kind of where the conversation had gone. And I said, I said, it's just, he after 2.5 years, that silence is so loud. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want it. And then we started getting into like, well, how could he do that to you? Again, someone you say loves you or was so into you, then like, how could he treat you like that? And then, so again, like you were bamboozled, you were had, like you were, and for whatever reason, maybe you ignored things or maybe you just didn't see or whatever, like you've been had, you've been bamboozled. And that's when she started getting into the whole rejection of the evidence was, well, he had a really bad, situation. He's had really bad relationships where women have just really just like taken advantage of him. But what was interesting though, and I think this almost gets into like a generational thing, but I was like, but that was a red flag. Like the fact that he didn't heal from any of that and the fact that like he had used some other, like they had a conversation and he would say certain things where you would be like, why are you saying that? Like that's a red flag. And it's really funny because she, and I think just generation, but also just the rejection of the evidence, it was like, well, there's some things that are non-negotiables and then there's some red flags that you can just deal with. And I was thinking to myself, I was just like, and I ended up saying that loud, but I was just like, absolutely not. No, there's no red flags. Like at most yellow, maybe yellow, orange, but also what are they? Right. But I was like, a red flag you can deal with? I was like, no, no, his lack of healing and the reason, the way that he couldn't handle any of this and he couldn't handle the breakup and he didn't get healing from this. He didn't go to therapy. He didn't truly accept and move forward is a red flag. And she's like, well, I don't think so. I said, then why are we sitting here talking about it?
2 years later.
Yes. And I said, 2 years later, why are we still sitting here then? And then why have you had your heart broken? If it was not a red flag, then why did you have your heart broken?
Why did the situation end this way?
Exactly. She was just like, You got me there.
I don't know. I think, ladies, you need to stop living in the delusion. Stop making excuses. That's the biggest thing. Is to stop making excuses of reasons that can't be as simple as he doesn't care that much.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I, of course, we all know my answer to like everything. I'm like, therapy, therapy and Jesus. No, but I did. I encourage her. I was like, I encourage you to truly go to therapy because, again, there's a difference between moving on because time is just moving forward and you kind of just have to march on with it.
Not working for her.
It's not. It's not. Versus actual acceptance of the situation and understanding and healing and thriving and moving forward. That has not taken place. And I think that's also kind of an excuse that women use along with all the other excuses of why whatever happened.
Well, why it's not happening, let's be real, is because she's living the delusion. She's not she's not facing the fact of what it is.
Yeah.
She's still making so many excuses. So until you face it, like that quote, you're not going to move on.
Yeah.
You have to know that you deserve better, you need better, and that he's not going to give that to you.
Right.
When you still think he is, when you still think that it has to be something else, that I'm partially part to blame of why he's acting like this, or whatever it may be, you're not going to move on.
Yeah. No, that was exactly it. I was it's still operating the excuses, like it's the constant, like, well, he did what he did because of this. And then, the hope, like it's not closure. It's really still hope because you're still, again, you're not and that was my whole question of asking her, like, why do you want, then why? You don't deserve to be treated that way.
You don't.
And also he doesn't deserve anything from you anymore. And again, then if it's for you.
And I'm telling you, by the fact that she reached out so much just shows him how much he can disrespect her.
Yes.
And the fact that she doesn't have a backbone, I'm telling you, that is super unattractive.
Yeah.
The fact that she can't say, I deserve better for myself and you can treat me like this and I'm still going to be here chasing you, waiting for you.
Yeah.
No one likes that, men or women.
Yeah.
If it was on my side either, I'm like, dude, I just walked all over you.
Yeah.
And you're at my feet?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of one of those things of like, I'll continue then to like abuse you if you're going to let me. Like, I'll continue to take advantage of it then. But like, I have no respect for it. I have no, then there's no value to it.
And we all get hurt. My situation in particular that happened in January.
Yeah.
I was, with one of the guys I was talking to, and I was devastated. He disrespected me so bad. I was so devastated. Not that like verbally or physically, just by actions.
Yeah.
I was so hurt. I was crying that night, everything. I never reached out once again.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And I was so into him.
Right. And there was even a situation where it would have been reasonable to reach out and been like, look, what you did last night was awful, about, everything that he did. Well, at some point have to spill the tea on that because it's a good story. But you would have been well kind of within reason to sit there.
We'll just give the long story short how bad it was disrespected.
Let's just do it.
Basically, he asked me to come hang out with him with another one of my friends, his best friend, we all know each other.
It was supposed to be a foursome.
It was, and he brings a girl with him that he matched with on Hinge.
So basically, everyone, he made it out to be.
We might have talked about this. I don't
We
remember.
might have. Yeah. But if we're not.
I don't remember.
Tea is always good. That it was supposed to be kind of like a little foursome that night. Not necessarily like double date or anything, but just a foursome hanging out.
We have a complicated past. We have a complicated situation for months.
Yes.
Where, he knows better than...
Yes. And then to bring a date... And invite Sana specifically, then invite
I didn't plan
date.
it.
Yeah, she didn't plan it. She had no idea this was happening.
Yeah.
Then to invite a date, and not just like, oh, more people. Like, no, just one girl that he met on a dating app to then make Sana the fifth wheel in that situation. That fucker did it on purpose. I will stand by that. I stand by it.
Whatever happened, but if you guys could have seen how livid I was, he never heard from me again.
but also just hurt.
I was so hurt.
I was so hurt. Truly, like,
because I would, even though everybody would say he's not a good guy, I would vouch for him. I'd be like, no, but like,
right.
We have a friendship. I know it's complicated, but he does care. Like all these things. I was so hurt based on even just that level.
Yes.
That I was like, he is not getting this ass. Like, I'm never speaking to you again.
Right. Like, I'm never doing this again.
I'm not going to be that doormat. I have values. I have standards, and you cross that line, and there's no, coming back.
Right.
And like, I just can't understand women that are chasing these situations and just letting people walk all over them. And then I just had this conversation with someone saying about like how guys are so shitty in LA and all that. Well, half of you allow the behavior.
Yeah.
I remember half of you do allow the behavior.
That's true.
Nobody sits there and stops. You guys chase them, all these things, and then everybody complains about guys being shitty. Well, we also need to change up.
Yeah.
We can't be sitting here accepting things. We can't be sitting here being like, well, I need closure, or let me keep reaching out. They're of course are going to act the way they're going to act because no one is like,
because they're
no one's setting that boundary. No one's putting respect for themselves.
Right. Well, it's like a kid who continues to act out.
Yeah.
They act up because you're allowing it as a parent. Yeah. There is no discipline.
I'm not saying that that's the only reason. Of course, there are guys that are just shitty.
Oh, of course.
But I know so many women that just put up with it.
But the thing is, yes, that's the thing. It's again, it's like a child. A child will always kind of see what they can get away with. Yeah. They'll always test your boundaries. They'll always push and be like, "What about this?" And if you don't respond in the right way, if you don't sit there and tell them absolutely not, there's consequences for this, you don't get to act that way, they are going to do it. And not only are they going to continue to do it, they're going to fall into worse behavior because you're not disciplining, you're not handling it, you're allowing the behavior. Same thing within this dating culture. I think both men and women need to stop allowing the shitty behavior. And the way that you stop allowing shitty behavior is you understand yourself. You understand your worth. You have boundaries. And I mean healthy. And this is why I really encourage and advocate for therapy, because you do need, I think it's very, very helpful to have a third uninterested party talking to you who's not your friend. Like they're not your friend. They're not on your side.
They're not biased.
They're not biased in any way. Yeah. And a lot of times it's not about good or bad. It's just like, this is what you need to do, type of thing. And they don't like talking about, I've tried to talk about someone, like I was in my therapy sessions. I'll be like, well, this person, and my therapist will say, we're not talking about them. Like it's not about them. It is about you. But that is truly how you stop the shitty behavior is because you stop allowing it, because you have done work. You have done inner work and you have understood yourself. And that's why I was telling this friend, like, I encourage you to, if you need to seek closure, again, write a letter and then burn it.
Yeah, if that's your way of coping.
If that's your way of coping, write down everything you would want to say. Write out that text, just don't send it. Like journal it out. Go tell a random person. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, do what you got to do, but it doesn't have to include them, because stop letting them think that their shitty behavior is okay. Yeah. And by you continuing to reach out or wanting to reach out or having that mentality.
And chasing for that.
Yes.
Because that's the thing with us, men and women. I think women face this more, is the rejection makes you want it more.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I need it.
That's me. That was me. Absolutely.
You got to snap out of it.
Yeah. But again, the only reason that I have been able to move forward out of that is because I have done work. I am almost at a year being in therapy. Literally, it was up until recently 2 hours every week. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, look at me.
No.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
This is the shit that I've had to go through. I've had to do this work. It's pretty fucked up, so there's like there's a lot. And I look at you like someone who hasn't gone through therapy, but someone who has sought advice from friends, who has kind of asked, what am I doing here? Even after the situation that happened back in January and some other shit, it was, okay, what am I doing here? And you've been able to accept kind of some hard-hitting truths. Yeah. But it's also just an understanding. And
it takes time, because I'm not going to sit here and vouch like I've always been like this.
No.
There were so many times that I would feel like I need to say the last word, or I need to send that huge paragraph. And Aisha would tell me, like, you already know your answer.
Right.
What are you trying to attain from this?
Right.
And that's why when I say, when it's not closure, it's a slither of hope.
It's
not seeing it for what it is. And I don't know. We've all been there, but it just takes growing, accepting the bamboozle.
Yeah, that's the thing. Accept that you've been bamboozled. Accept the evidence of the bamboozle. You've been had. You've been taken for a ride. Yeah. And whether you allowed it or not, that's where you have to do that inner work. And if you really want to grow, you have to ask, why was I bamboozled?
It's also, don't be so desperate for love where you're willing to be treated like this.
Well, that's exactly the question. That's why you ask. That's why I asked myself, why am I okay being treated like this? Why do I keep coming back? Why am I okay with being bamboozled? Why am I okay with continuing to be had? Why am I okay with it? Because I was. If you continue to operate in this and if you continue to have multiple situations like this, you're okay with it then. There's something there that's okay and allowing you to accept it.
Because you crave that.
Yes. So instead of, and it is painful to accept, again, like it said, that you've been, taken for a ride, you have been had. It's learn to accept and like lean into the evidence and stop rejecting it. Stop living in that delusion. Take a long, hard look at yourself. Find ways to have that closure. Like I said, the therapeutic forgiveness, write a letter, burn it. I've seen women write things on like dollar store plates and they go and break them,
I mean, for me, I think for me, it's talking it. Like I talked to you about like the same situation like 5 times.
Yeah.
And then you move like talking it out.
Talking it out is a huge one for me.
Talking it out, and then you hear your friend's perspective, you kind of break it down, and you're like, you're right. Because I think we also harp on the good. Mm-hmm. When bad situations happen, we only and we want them back or whatever.
Yeah.
We harp on that good. We think about like the good times. Yeah. We always think about the good times and toss everything aside of all the bad things that happen. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you right now, she's not even thinking about him ghosting. She's like, but think about the times you have.
Oh, yeah.
What he used to tell me, all these things. Actions.
Yep.
You said it's loud.
That silence is deafening. Yeah. It is, it's so loud. And I think another concept that has helped me to move on that I've learned in therapy is change your I hope to I wish. And what that means is instead of saying like, oh, I hope he, answers me, I hope we reconnect, you can then say, I wish it would have worked out. I wish we could have reconnected.
Yeah. It's in the past.
It's in the past. I wish it could have happened. And that's something that I learned specifically with the pilot is because of the good, I wish it could have worked out, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So I no longer hope. I no longer hope it works out. I no longer hope I can convince. I no longer hope for any of that. It's I wish it would have, but it didn't.
Yep.
And that's just the long and short of it. And that's acceptance. And that's just being able to move forward. So, I encourage anyone who's going through any of this, even if it's not in a romantic relationship, it's with a friendship or a family relationship, because I've done this even with a, relationship like with my dad's, like, I wish he would understand, or I wish he would know the depths. And it's no longer, I hope, because the hope encourages fighting. Mm-hmm. Whereas I wish encourages just acceptance for what it is.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
That was, look at you guys getting free therapy advice.
Free therapy, just doling it out,
Yep.
But what's truly, we hope this kind of illuminated some things, maybe gave you some, I don't know, practical tips.
Yeah.
Because I hate when people are like, just move on. You're like, yeah, fucking how? Like,
no, it's not easy. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, of course you're going to be sad. Those emotions are going to happen, but don't allow yourself to make those excuses. Don't sit in the disrespect.
Yes.
Don't be that doormat.
Don't be the doormat. Change your
hold yourself
I hope
high.
To I wish.
Yep.
Just acceptance, from fighting to acceptance.
The right one will come.
And the right one will come.
And he will let you know.
You won't have to hope anything. You won't have to wish anything. It'll just be. But even without that, you'll be able to just thrive and live.
Yeah.
And
you're just going to be happier overall.
Yeah.
With or without the right one.
Yeah. And just be able to not just accept because time is telling you to accept it. You'll actually be able to.
And want better.
Yeah. Want better for yourself. And just be able to thrive.
Thrive.
Well, that is time for us.
Yes.
We hope you guys enjoyed. Love talking to you all again.
Yes, this was a good one.
This was a good one. I liked it. We'd love to hear from you all. If you have any comments, anything that you've done, anything you've learned from having to get over some of that unrequited love or
love to hear experiences.
Yeah, painful experiences. We'd love to hear. But thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys again in 2 weeks.
Have a good week, y'all.
Bye,
Good 2
everyone.
weeks. Bye.